Hey guys, welcome to Cook with Nancy. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make this apple scones with spiced maple glaze. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button right now. That way you don't miss on upcoming videos. Let's get started with this apple scones recipe. To start off, here in a large bowl, I have 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. To this I'm adding 1 teaspoon cinnamon powder, 1 teaspoon salt, 2.5 teaspoon baking powder. Now salt, just make sure you add depending on how much you would like, more or less. Now go ahead and combine them well together to incorporate with all the dry ingredients together. Set it aside. In a large bowl, I have half a cup of buttermilk plus 2 tablespoons, 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, 2 tablespoons maple syrup or agave. If you don't like maple syrup or agave, you can add honey or 2 tablespoons brown sugar. Go ahead and mix them well until it's all well combined, and pop it in the fridge until it's ready to be used so that it stays nice and cold. Now here I have 6 tablespoons cold frozen butter. The reason it is frozen so that it all stays nice and cold. Grate it directly to the flour mixture and just go ahead and mix them until it's sandy in texture. 6 tablespoons, around 1/3 of a cup, I would say. Go ahead and mix them, and now I'm going to add the wet ingredients into the dry mixture. Go ahead and bring the dough together until it's just combined. Now when you're kneading a dough, you don't want it to knead like what we would do for bread recipes or other recipes. You just want to bring them together. Just be gentle so that it's not overworked. Now go ahead and mix them until the dough comes together. At this point, if your flour is a little dry, you can always add 1 tablespoon of buttermilk, little bit at a time, to reach the right consistency. You want to make sure it's nice and soft dough, not too sticky. Now go ahead and add a little bit of flour on the work surface. Just flatten the dough a little bit. Here I have 1 cup of diced apple. You can use any kind of apple, green, red, totally fine. I'm using a red apple, skinned and diced little smaller pieces. If you don't like a chunk of apple pieces in your dough, you can actually grate them when you're preparing the wet ingredient. That way you have the apple in your wet ingredient and you can actually knead the dough, and then you don't have the chunk of apples in your scones. That's another option. So now go ahead and actually fold the dough until the apple is equally distributed, and just go ahead and flatten it the desired shape or size. Now when it comes to scone, you want it to have nice and thick scones. You don't want it to be too thin. So I would always recommend to go ahead and actually make them a little thicker in size. Go ahead and place it in the parchment paper in the baking tray. Cut it out the desired shape. I'm cutting it triangle or circle, fine. Brush it with butter or buttermilk or cream, heavy cream, and pop it in the refrigerator for 20 minutes. Now the reason I have spaced it out a little bit is just so that they don't stick together. Now I'm going to bake this at 375 for around 25 to 30 minutes depending on your oven temperature. While that is cooling, I have 1 cup of sugar, powdered sugar, half a teaspoon cinnamon powder in a bowl. To this I'm going to add 3 to 4 tablespoons maple syrup or more depending on the consistency that you want it to get. You can actually add them depending on how much you might require. Now I have added around 5 tablespoons of maple syrup and some milk as well to get the desired consistency. The reason I did not add all maple syrup because I don't want too much of a sweetness, so I'm actually thinned it out a little bit with adding some milk. So you can do that same as well if you prefer. Go ahead and mix them until you reach the desired consistency, and once your scones are cooled down a little bit, it's time you can actually go ahead and serve this with topping up with the glaze. This is a great recipe, great breakfast recipe. You can put them together in such a little time with no big efforts or crazy ingredients. I hope you enjoy watching this video. If you have any questions, let me know. I will see you soon in my next video. Till then, take care guys. Bye bye.